top story of the hour. The Supreme Court has upheld Arizona's voting rules, handing a big loss to Democrats who were challenging Republican measures to prevent fraud at the ballot box. So Republicans are calling the decision a victory for election integrity. We're joined by the panel now. We're working to get Guy Benson, but here with us is Mo Elathi. He's a former DNC communications director, also a Fox News contributor. Mo, we'll let you know if we get Guy back up and running, but for now it's just you and me. So let's get going here. Take a listen to what Attorney General Mark Brnovich told John and I just a few minutes ago about the Arizona ruling. I want to get your reaction on the other side.
What this case was always about and what these common sense election integrity measures are about is making sure people have confidence in the results. And, you know, at the end of the day, the hypocrisy of the left is being fully exposed because they essentially want to nationalize elections. We see that with S1, we see it with HB1. And the reality is that regardless of who you are, we want to have faith in the process.
And by the magic of television, Guy Benson is now with us in the flesh. Guy, thanks so much. Mo, I want to get your reaction to what the Attorney General just said. They're essentially saying this is not about race. This is not about preventing minorities from voting. This is about states' rights versus the federal government.
Yeah, well, there's no question Democrats are disappointed in the ruling today. And, you know, fundamentally, I think what the Democratic Party's argument is on this is that we should be expanding the opportunity and the opportunities people have to vote as much as possible, make it as easy as possible for people to vote with all the appropriate and necessary safeguards, but not restrict it, not make it more challenging. And Democrats were arguing that this Arizona law does make it more challenging by going after sort of solutions where there was no problem. Now, I do have an issue with what the Attorney General said in terms of protecting the integrity of the election process, because what we're seeing coming out of his state is the exact opposite, a complete and total concerted effort to undermine faith in the process with the sham audit that was going on in the legislature. But putting that aside, what Democrats, I think, are going to do now is continue with legal challenges in other states whenever they feel like state legislatures are restricting in some capacity the right to vote. And I think you're going to see them double down on a legislative fix in order to one that is consistent with past court rulings that makes it harder for states to make it restrictive.
So, Guy, some of the justices on the court certainly agree with what Mo just laid out. Justice Elena Kagan issued this very fiery dissent in which she accused the court of essentially gutting the Voting Rights Act here by making it harder for certain groups of American minorities to vote. What do you say in defense of the guidance issued today?
Well, first of all, if we want to talk about undermining faith in the democratic process, I think the real fiasco in this country right now is in New York, where there's not a single Republican in power anywhere in New York City, basically. So I think that would be one point to make, and you were just discussing that before our segment. As for Arizona, a major piece of that law was ballot harvesting. I'm all for having as many people voting as possible so long as they are eligible citizens and we can actually know for certain that the people who are casting the ballots are who they say they are and are in fact eligible. When you have ballot harvesting, outside third parties collecting ballots, I think that is a real area of concern when it comes to the chain of custody and making sure that we do have integrity in our voting system. And the Supreme Court in the majority, 6-3, thank goodness, agrees. And that particular statute was upheld. A lot of the court observers that I've spoken to and read are not surprised by this outcome. And they also add that today's decision is likely a death knell for the DOJ's, I think, politically motivated lawsuit against the state of Georgia, which now seems destined for failure, and it should fail, in my view.
Perhaps. We'll see where that goes next. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us in spite of the technical difficulties. We'll talk to you both again soon.